Welcome to the ET Stand, the Ronaldo Sharks fans podcast. You idiots, I'm just laughing at these clowns just trying to make faces at me in the background. On this episode of the ET Stand podcast, we are going to work out, stop it you idiots. We're going to try and work out what a dynasty is and if the Cronulla Sharks can ever build one of their own. We're just not content with one premier. These idiots in the background, I'm going to stop them from pulling faces at me. Let's just bring them in. That is Boldo's Tears. Chris Kelly, who would you move?
Where do we start? I'm glad Boldo didn't grow up in Egypt times because that's a terrible looking pyramid. It would have fallen over and collapsed by now. And given that he just Googled the squad and put Matt Ikevalu in the bottom and he hasn't been there since half of last year, our pyramid would have fallen over.
He's still on the page.
The pyramid would have fallen over. You would have been missing a foundation piece and it's fallen over.
Oh, Maloney is still intercept. Away goes James Maloney. They're kicking him home, the Sharks fans. Maloney is there. Healy. It's Healy has scored on his departure day. Mitch Healy gets a try. The crowd have gone absolutely bereft.
In amongst all of that, Latz had an awesome story about how awesome this Finau guy was, and then Boldo concludes it with like, yeah, Finucane, how good is he? And everyone goes,
I don't even know who Finau is. I just assumed that Finau was the same guy as Finucane. Is that a different person? I didn't know that. Who the hell's Finau?
Wow.
This is how flawed the tears are. He doesn't even know half the team.
Boldo.
This is where the tears bit comes into it.
I'm listening to the car going, did my stream just like skip 30 seconds or something? Like, no, it was just Boldo just playing along. But anyway.
Peachy, great ball to Campbell. He's away.
Campbell to the 30-metre line. Now, Colin Best heading to the corner. Gets it back on the inside. Graham. They're over. Nick Graham has scored. 4 minutes into the game. And it's away. Here they are. Pryor. Can he get it there? Yes, he can. Matt Pryor, an unlikely first try scorer for the Sharks.
Interesting enough that the North Bears are getting that desperate. They're talking about having a Pacific Bears team so they can sort of engulf those Pacific nations and sort of get that ball rolling where they think they can sort of, take on the Cook Islands and the Samoans and the Tongas and sort of make it their team. So PNG's to go for me.
I'm pretty convinced after that. All right, Franco, what do you got?
Mate, can I rebuttal that, or am I giving a different answer?
Go for it. Enough arguments on this podcast. Come on,
you're going to throw out cans and they're going to play out of cans.
Ever. That is the dumbest idea ever.
Townsend now calling the shots with Johnson off. They will go. Gallen, field goal. Paul Gallen, field goal. That is amazing. That is ridiculous. Away. It's back to Smith. Smith gets it away to Cronk. Cronk's got Corabetti with it. Have they got a chance here? Corabetti's put down. The siren sounds. Cronulla have won it. Cronulla have won it. 14-12. You can turn the light out now.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast. The Sharkies, just like the ET Stand Podcast, are facing a couple of technical difficulties with a couple of things going wrong, but the loyal fans and the loyal supporters, we're all still here. Match up with the depleted Rabbitohs might be just what the doctor ordered for the Sharkies, or are we about to put another team back in form? Sorry for the technical difficulties. Franco, that was not you. It was not Williams. It was not Latz. It was all me. And we ended the stream after 11 seconds. Sorry to everyone who was watching. Welcome to the ET Stand, the Sharks Fan Podcast, where we let our talking do the football. Hit the subscribe button if you are new on YouTube. It's just the nice thing to do to support us. And if you had a podcast channel, I'd subscribe and follow your channel. So please do follow us. And if you're enjoying the episode, then give us a like or a rating or whatever it is on whatever platform you happen to be on. We're going to try and bring the fun back. That's why we've got Latz and Williams here this week. It was a bleak debrief episode for Franco and me and Latz. So we'll try and bring a little bit of fun back. Latz is going to take us through the socials in the absence of and around the league. Latz, a bit of work for you tonight.
Mate, you've had me doing my homework this week, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're doing everything, aren't you? We'll talk about the impact of the Ronnie injury. We'll preview the Souths match. Williams is going to talk us through. Are you looking forward to this? The notable Sharks one-match players, given that we've got two one-match players?
Absolutely. Well, I think it's a bit harsh to say one-match players for at least one of them. I think Ison will see again. Beryl will see, but I thought we'd done this before maybe, but maybe not. But it was very enjoyable nonetheless. 47 in total.
It's always fun to do that. Franco is going to give us the talk through on all things NRLW. And then we have the return of the most famous segment in all of Sharks podcasting and sports entertainment, the return of Boldo's Tears as we go through the player rankings. But let's bring in the socials. And let's get you to take us through that, mate. Let's get into it.
Good, mate. Alrighty, Sharks fans have grown quite concerned amongst the socials in learning of Ronnie's knee injury and the timing of it approaching the business end of the season. And given our form slump over the last 6 weeks, it's certainly not ideal. The club this afternoon confirming Ronnie suffered a grade 2 medial ligament injury and will be sidelined for about a month. So that's quite concerning there. Rumours have again been doing the rounds in the socials of Nico possibly walking out on the club early to take up a deal with the Cowboys to replace the Chad at the end of the season. The club have come out, shut them down. Nico is settled in the Shire. He's stated in previous weeks that he's the happiest he's ever been. So lock him up Ben Hunt style because he ain't leaving. News broke over the last 48 hours of the Cowboys reportedly telling ex-Sharks flyer Valentine Holmes that he's free to seek out and negotiate with rival clubs. This sent Sharks socials into a flurry of how we can get him back in the black, white and blue. This announcement also aided the Nico whispers I previously mentioned. It looks like they were trying to free up some space to make something work there. But as much as I'd love to see Val back in the Sharks colours, I can't see it happening given we just re-signed Iro, and with AFB's arrival next year, we're pretty tightly capped. St. Merge looked to be the front runners in obtaining his signature to replace the departing Zach Lomax, but don't be surprised if you see Sherrado or Bennett make a play for his services either. And finally, boys, 14-year-old skateboarding prodigy that just so happens to be the daughter of one of Cronulla's favourite sons, Luke Cavell, so I guess you could call her Cronulla's favourite granddaughter, finished 8th in heartbreaking scenes at the Paris Olympics in the early hours of Monday morning. Cavell qualified 4th for the final, where she went on to finish 8th overall. Despite the outcome, Chloe took great pride in her efforts, stating, "I'm proud that I made it to the final. I tried my best and that's all I could do." And Chloe could be seen after the final being consoled by dad Luke. Incredible efforts from such a young athlete, and how good are the Cavells?
So
I watched that. I thought she was terrific as an athlete.
I saw the heat. She was amazing.
Oh,
she was right up there to take it out as well. It's just one of those sports where if you're not on at that exact moment, it doesn't pan out. She could come out in the next run and just score top points off that. It's just luck. But yeah, she's a very talented young athlete. And at 14, being the youngest Olympic, she would have been the youngest Australian to medal if she had gotten to the medals. But she's amazing.
All right, we've got a few comments that have come through here. Ashley's come through, said is getting excited about Stone Street being in the team and is calling out that Sharks are going to win by 14. And yes, sorry, Ashley, we did turn it off and turn it back on again. Sorry, mate, but we're all here. And SJD's come in the comments. G'day, SGD. We're glad you're here. Just letting you know that you're not dead. Yeah, we're glad you're not dead. And
Very glad.
And Chris Kelly's come through and said that the Cowboys will tip in for Val and that their Jason Taumalolo contract for $10 million is killing them, and called out that she is leaping Chloe Cavell. She'd look great in an NRLW Sharks jersey too, would Chloe Cavell. All right, that was the social roundup, quick and fast.
Well, she's only going to be 18 at the LA Olympics and 22 at the Brisbane Olympics. She could conceivably have a couple of medals under her belt and go, you know what, let's do a code swap and play for the Mighty Sharks.
That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? Did you see the 58-year-old debutante Chinese player in the table tennis? What a legend.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so good. Maybe there's chance for me yet, Williams.
P.S. Stat of 29-year-old debut, Tian Strauss, and as much as I love Tuera Nika, don't count. If you're an established first grader, whether it's rugby union or English Super League, that doesn't count as a debutante.
Oh, so you're rebutting the comment from last week that...
Yeah, it wasn't your comment. It was in commentary how they were talking about he was the oldest debutant since 1996, which I straight away thought, yeah, Tian Strauss. I'm like, hang on, he's an established... yes, rugby union player, but it's not really the same thing. And it's not like he's struggled in reserve grade playing for the Wentworthville whoever's for years and finally got his crack. He's been playing international football.
Yeah, well, Tian Strauss did struggle at first grade rugby league football. If we're totally
that's the rugby union to rugby league convert right there.
No, that's probably fair. All right, well, look, Sharks winger, Lat's called it out. Ronaldo Mulatalo is sidelined for a month with a grade 2 medial ligament injury, so he won't be playing for a little while either. Franco, what impact is this going to have on the Sharkies as our top try scorer, creative player? It's a lot to lose.
Yeah, look, a lot of people after last week's effort were wanting to see the back of poor Ronnie. They were sort of talking about dropping him, or can he go to another club, or I wouldn't be upset to see the back of him, all those sorts of comments. Well, now you sort of get a chance to see what life is like without him, and I do think we're going to feel it. He's a good player. He gets good yardage, starts our sets off strong, can finish a good try. He is the energy of our team, the backbone of hype. And without him there sort of lifting the spirits of the team and doing what he can to keep the energy going, I think we could be a little bit flat, and I think we might miss him. Stone Street's no slouch. Stone Street will probably do a good job, I think, but he's no Ronnie. And I think, we'll probably have to see a little bit more out of Iro and a little bit more out of Kennedy to make sure that the back three are firing and doing well. That said, though, that edge, that left edge defensively is already pretty shaky. Throw in a one-game player of Stone Street, and that could cause a lot of chaos. Could see a lot of points going down that side as well. So, yeah, I'm not happy to see him go. I always good to see a young kid get a go, and sure enough, I'll be wishing Stone Street well, and by extension the Sharks. But yeah, I don't think it's good for us to have Ronnie out and not for that length of time, especially.
Craig Guerin in the comments, good said, called out that it's a good test to see if Stone Street is ready for first grade. That is probably true. Just I think the problem with having Stone Street come in is that for a regular winger, Stone Street's fine. But Ronaldo's arguably the top winger in the NRL at times, and the blistering try scorer, as Williams pointed out last week. Matty, have you gone and looked at it for us? How do the Sharkies do without Ronnie?
I have twofold, so it depends. Well, okay, I'm going to open before I even cover the stats with which Ronnie turns up, right? So the Ronnie we saw on the weekend, I agree with Boldo from the debrief. I don't think he was at fault.
It was issues on the inside, specifically Teague Wilton on 2 occasions, just rushing in when it wasn't on, and that left him in no man's land and resulted in him being found out. He wasn't coming in like he has before, but I will harp on this because it just still gets my goat. Is what was he thinking before halftime? I defy you. I defy you to find. Luckily, it wasn't a try. If that was a try, that would have been the biggest howler in Sharks history. Like, that is up there with Nathan Gardner just lashing a boot in the in goal because he thought he'd regather it, and the Roosters just picking it up and strolling in. It was. I can't explain it. And that's Ronnie, right? He will score you 79 tries in 105 or 106 games or whatever it is. It's amazing, but he will then also do that. And if that happened in a prelim, I'd fear for his welfare. But anyway, so Ronnie, go away, get better. And please, just those 0.01 percenters, I'd say that was a 100% right there. That wasn't even a 1%. That was 100, but just any other option.
He didn't even need to do it though. He could have.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Thrown it out.
That's the thing.
Run out.
Just run out, catch it, walk out, take the tackle. I don't throw it, do anything. But the way that
oh god, it's so funny.
Sorry, that's
I'd like to think that he was already injured at that point.
I hope so, because I don't think this has been harped on. Warren Smith in coverage said he should never live that down. That could have and should have conceded a try right in halftime for nothing. That was apocalyptic. Anyways,
it was 3 seconds to go on the clock. He was next to the sideline and the dead ball line.
Yeah, and he collected it, and I was like, "Oh, good, we're wrapped up." And then myself and my 6-year-old were like, "He's like, what happened there? How did the ball end up on the line? We thought maybe he'd grounded the ball."
So funny.
No, anyway, so I'm harping on that. With stuff like that, there is no way you can be the best winger in the world when you've got a howler like that. Like, that is Paul Carriage times 100. Anyway, sorry, rant over.
Before you go any further, Matty, I think it's worth calling out for our viewers and listeners and friends of the show. The rest of us didn't really harp up about that incident. I think we just thought, oh yeah, that's just Ronnie. Williams exploded on our group chat. It's still exploding. Multiple days later.
I've gone through, I think, all the emotions, the spectrum of, I think I'm now maybe at acceptance. But I was like, how? Like, that is Ronnie in a nutshell, though. I'm surprised he didn't score immediately beforehand, get sin binned immediately after that, and then do everything else in between. But anyway, so we love you, Ronaldo, but please, please, please just focus on the little 0.01 percenters. Honest. Okay, so Ronnie made his infamous debut in 2019. He played 8 matches that season. I'm not going to include the times he was in and out there because that was unfair, because he's in and out of the side, not really having much of an impact. So 2020 onwards, he's only missed 13 matches in that period. So the Sharks have played 110 matches over that time with an overall win percentage of 57.27%, winning 63, losing 47. With Ronaldo in that time, we've won 56.7%. So he's played 97, won 55, lost 42. So you can argue that maybe based on that, we're slightly, was that 0.57% worse with him in the team. Obviously not statistically significant. And those 13 matches we played without him during that time, we've won 8 and lost 5 for a win percentage of 61.54. So make of that what you will.
Not that statistically significant, is it?
Correct. But he's a big out. Energy-wise, he's a big out.
Some of those other ones we looked at, Matty, in the preseason where we did that wins video, where it was astounding how high the win record was of Matt Rogers and a few of these other guys and how low Paul Gallen's one was. So it's good, but it's not massive.
There's something to be said about 2 seasons ago when we lost... and I'm drawing a blank here, Buddy Katoa. He got that shoulder injury off
2022 against the Cowboys.
Yeah. So everyone's sort of like, oh, yeah, it's just Katoa. We're not going to miss out a beat here. He actually, losing him for the rest of that season impacted the team quite significantly.
It was
and that
a
shocked
chain
a lot
reaction.
of people.
Yeah, it was a chain reaction because we had Connor Tracy in and out of the wing position. I think we even had Lockie Miller playing on the wing when he hadn't played on the wing before. It really tested our depth, and that is something that is worrying. At this time of year, we need to win. We need to start winning again and keep winning, and not having Ronaldo does not help that.
It's like the grand final when I just had to remember his damn name because I had a mind blank. I was thinking Missy Talapapa. I'm like, Missy Talapapa didn't play the grand final.
It's the Saifeki.
When Saifeki got injured, Melbourne kind of came back.
Yeah, Beale on the wing.
With international Beale on the wing. Oh, my top 12's come through and said he honestly thought on first view it was a try to them. I thought that too, buddy. But on replay, they saw Ison being held back just lucky. Right? He was lucky. And then my top 12 backs it up with still loving Ronnie.
Of course.
And then Chris has just come through and asked, is that Matt's rant part over? No, maybe not. Absolutely. That might have been the rant part. Lads, you've just heard the three of us talk about that. Give us your overall reaction and a final take on the impact of Ronnie being out for the Sharks before we head to the South preview.
Yeah, mates, you can't replace Ronnie with a player from a lower grade. I think the boys are right. I think Will Kennedy's really going to step up and inject himself into the attack. Ronnie's just one of those X-factor players that can create something out of nothing, which we nearly saw him create a try out of nothing for the Cowboys the other night. But yeah, mate, he's irreplaceable for us. But Stone Street, given he's already had a little run in the top grade, I think he'll be a lot more confident, and I think he'll be safe. So I think we'll go okay against a depleted South team.
A depleted South team indeed. The Sharks welcome them on Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. at Pointsbet Stadium. Their season must be on the line in this match, you would think. Lose and they're gone. It's been a wretched couple of weeks for the Sharkies. We're heavy favourites. I think it's all even $1.30. Or seemed a bit
shorter,
high, really. Or even shorter than that now. But as we know, that does not mean anything. Get your tips into the comments right now. I'm going to say the Sharks are going to beat Souths. So I will tip first as the leader of the EG Stand tipping comp. Matty, give us the history on the clash.
I'll give you my tip first. Every fibre of my being is telling me to tip Souths, given how strong a favourite we are. The fact that South's season is on the line. I see their team, Latrell, doesn't appear to be in there, although is he on an extended bench?
He's out.
No, he's out. Okay. But
he's out for a few weeks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I thought he'd be back and would play them back into form. So sorry for playing catch up here, but Sharks by 10, no confidence, and it's only hard to say it's got to happen. Anyway, Sharks versus South. So they are the team that we've played fifth most in history. So Roosters, Bulldogs, Panthers, Manly, then Souths by order of total matches played. 95 in total. Sharks 49, South Sydney 43, 3 draws. Overall points tally 1,836 to the Sharks to 1,678 to South. So we racked up some big scores in the 90s, nearly 2000s when they weren't going as well. Interestingly enough, we have not won any more than 2 games in a row over them since 2003. And we had a fairly long win streak there. The longest win streak has been 10 by the Sharks, 6 by Souths at Shark Park. 50 matches played, 33 Sharks, 16 to Souths. And looking at so we've won 2 in a row against them. Obviously, the last time we lost them was round 1 last year. And that win streak I was talking about back in the day was from 1994 till 2003 was where we won 10 in a row. Commencing with a 42-0 win over Souths in the ET scoring 5 tries game in 1994 and finishing with the 54-34 win the week after the 74-4 this week that wasn't in 2003 before Greg Bird kneed Shane Martini too. And Souths won 36-12 back in 2004. So that's the history of Sharks v Souths.
A couple of tips come through. Nathan Hunt's tipping Sharks 13 plus. And then we've got my top 12 making the comment that if we don't win this weekend and win well, we are in trouble. Not that we aren't already. Forget about the top 4. We have to start worrying about staying in the 8. I think we have to need maybe 1 more match, maybe 2. Actually, I think we said 2 more matches to be guaranteed the 8, I think.
2 is correct. That's all of the ladder predictors that I've done.
Yeah, ladder predictors.
It's 2 gets us. But yeah, it's worrying.
It is worrying indeed. I will bring up this comment. Souths were depleted last time and we won pretty easily. That's true, Craig. I updated the team list this week and I can confirm that it took me bloody ages to update the Souths team list of last time because their team changed so much. So let's just run through the team list. Lats, do you want to run us through the team list? You can get to do this.
Oh, I'll give it a crack. At the back, we've got Will Kennedy. On the edges, we've got Sione Katoa and Samuel Stone Street. Centres, Jesse Ramey and Kale Iro. At 6, Daniel Atkinson. Halfback, Braden Trindle. At 8, we've got Royce Hunt. Brayley at 9. Kafusi at 10. Britton Nakora, Teague Wilton. The second row, Cam McInnes at lock. And a nice big forward heavy bench in Sifa Talakai, Jack Williams, Toby Rudolph, Braden Hamlin-Ueli, and coach Craig Fitzgibbon. Notably, no Tom Hazelton, boys.
Well, he's injured.
Foot injury, apparently.
So they say. Or is he?
Yeah, needs a rest.
So, they're giving him a week off, so they didn't want to risk it.
Yeah, I just think he hasn't been in the best form, has he? In fact, he's been almost.
He looked tired last week.
Is he 24? It's a big season. You look that he kind of entered and played consistently from mid-season onwards, where this year he's been going since round 1. He definitely needs a rest.
Looks the obvious team the Sharks needed to name, doesn't it? Franco, are there any other options or things you would have thought of in your view on this Sharks team?
This is pretty much the team you expect to run out, really. There's no need to tinker with it. Put your best 17 on the park. When you're taking into consideration healthy, fit, and firing, I think Tapua is out injured, not listed in New South Wales Cup either. So he's down as well. Hazelton, you mentioned there, Lats, with the foot injury, injured/rested, and Ronnie, as we all know about because we just spoke about his medial ligament injury. Funnily enough, Williams, that match we lost against Souths, had a big reason of losing that was a little bit of Ronnie's speciality as well.
Left edge, it was Matt Moylan. That entire left edge, it was just basically run at it, do a couple of short balls and
bombing that try as well, having a bit of a leg, getting the ball knocked out of his hand.
It was. It would have been our first try to equalise. Yeah,
correct. It's a good, strong team. Jack Williams back from his wrist injury, and Sifa on the bench, who will probably inject himself any which way he can. So
good to see Stone Street fit. I was worried about his virus and the fact that he hadn't been named for Newtown for a few weeks. I was like, oh, this seems like something more, but good to see he's been named. I had something in the back of my mind going, oh gosh, watch the internet explode if somehow it's an Atkinson move to wing and Puru come into the halves and oh gosh, what's going on? But thankfully that didn't happen.
Oh no.
And obviously Royce Hunt into the starting side for that theoretical fast start that we're always chasing and looking for, instead of, say, Rudolph, who was the preferred starter instead of Hazelton in the past. So look for a big fiery up front first couple of minutes, guys.
If you want a fast start, hold the ball. Hold the ball.
Let's go through the South team. Franco, why don't you name the South team for us?
There's a bunch of players in South jerseys. We've got Jai Gray, fullback. On the wings, we've got Myers and Gagai. In the centres, we've got Milne and Kenner. And in the 5/8, we've got Jack White. And then in 7, we've got Cody Walker, who I believe is under an injury cloud. So he may or may not line up. Front row, we've got Mole and Kippy. Hooker is Damien Cook. Back row is Cameron Murray, who returns after being out for a little while, which is a big in for them, and Jacob Host. In lock is Kolomatangi. In the bench, we've got Chikam, Halevi, Burgess, and Duncan. Coach.
And I didn't update who the coach was.
Pretty sure it's Ben Hornby, isn't it?
Last time it said Jason Demetrio for now. On our last update. Yeah, it took me bloody ages to update this South team. There's about 7 or 8 different players that had changed. Look, you just can't. We just knew when they signed Jack White and he was going to play 5'8", and they didn't have a halfback. They've just gone to poo ever since then, really, haven't they?
Yeah, they're trash.
I
think we'll be very lucky. Sorry, Franco, you go, mate.
they're not having a good season. They're certainly tinkering around. There's a bit of disharmony throughout the playing group and certainly the back office. Change of coach, whispers of Bennett coaching two teams. There's all the excuses under the sun for the players not to perform for the back end of this season. They're pretty much out of the comp. Maybe they can squeeze into the 8 if they win every game from here, but look, I don't think that's going to happen.
We would think that the Sharks team, if all of these guys can play at their fullest potential, we should romp this one in. Who don't we have tips from yet? Franco, tipping the Sharks win?
Yeah, I think I am. But at home is, I think, it's one of those things that getting back home, getting comfortable, routine of home ground advantage. I think, yeah, we're gonna win, and I think we will. It will be another one of those scenarios like the Tigers. I think we'll win well, and everyone will forget the last week and paper over the cracks, and everyone will be like, how good are the Sharks? And then we'll see what happens. And unfortunately, the rest of the season on paper is looking good for who we're against. It's looking like an easy run home, and it might trick us into that false sense of security.
I'm happy with some winning wallpaper, as I've heard someone else call it. I think that's a Joel Kane-ism on SEN, winning wallpaper. Just papers over all the cracks, and you just breeze on into the finals, where we then get absolutely pumped by Penrith and go from there. So I'm happy with that.
Well, I'd gladly get pumped by Penrith in week 1 and then win week 2 and week 3 and then be absolute massive underdogs and then get pumped again. All right, Chris Kelly's come through with a 13+ Sharks tip, and he's called out that they should be shutting them down. Season done. Lats, if you tip the Sharks, then the current leaderboard of the ET Stand tipping comp will stay the same, no matter what happens in the outcome. And we have a 0 and 5 record when we've all tipped basically every time.
Wasn't the Tigers home game? Didn't we all tip them there? We all tipped the Tigers for the home game. We did win 58-6.
Here we go. You can't get anything.
Hoodoo's gone.
That hoodoo's gone. That's it, Sharks.
I'm going Sharks 30+ minimum, mate. I reckon it's going to be a big score. It's going to be like the Tigers match, and we can boost that for and against and lay that wallpaper.
All right. Well, look, if you're watching this on delay or listening on delay, do get your tips in. Well, always interested to see what the Sharkies fan think. That was our Sharks versus Souths preview. We will be live with a debrief as soon as we can after full time, rushing back to our respective houses. So please do join us for that, which will hopefully be a more positive debrief this week. Last week, we saw the debut of Liam Eisen and Jaden Beryl. And because I think it is on the board that one of them or neither of them play a game again for the Sharks. Eisen, because he gets taken by another team and gets asked to be their fullback. I thought he was quite a good player. Thought I'd ask our resident historian to take us through some of the other infamous or famous one-game Sharkies.
Well, we know about the 50 club, the 100 club, the 200 club, the 300 club. What about the one-game club? 47 illustrious gentlemen have represented the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks on one occasion. And I'll just give you a quick rundown. So starting off with a guy named alphabetical order. So Rick Baber, B-A-B-E-R, back in, what was that, 1967, actually. So he was one of our, you'd probably say our first only gamer. Followed by Jaden Beryl is the next one on the list. Thanks, Rugby League Project, again, for all of your awesome
I'm not going to name all 57 or 47.
Let's see how quickly I can go. Leon Bott. Luke Brannigan in 2000, Scott Brown, Gavin Clinch, Jason Croker, not the Canberra one, Frank Davis, John Dennehy, Michael Fahey, Jackson Ferris. Now, that was a good one from 2020. Scored a great try, then did his ACL. I actually thought he was better than Bronson Sherry coming through the juniors. Probably still is. less controversial. Let's just say that. Carl Faliga, we know him know him well. Michael Francisco.
We know him as the next Sonny Bill.
Yes, the next Carl McNichol, as he was otherwise known. Michael Francisco, what a name, from 1970. Michael Greenfield played in the 26 points to 12 win over the Roosters in 2004 when Jason Kent played halfback. Trent Grubb, one of Franco's favourites. Don Hale, Garrick Hale, Wayne Hall, not Wayne Carr, Paul Hallam, Peter Hammond, Jim Harvey, Mark Jeffries, Liam Eisen, Brett Kelly, Toshio Lassini, my favourite of the lot, set up a try for Kevin Kingston. Where else are we? I've lost my spot. Steve McAlpin, Jason McLean, Santi Massa, Sam Moa, Dean Morris. Sam Moa did play plenty for the Roosters later on. Arthur Mountier, Dane Nielsen. Yes, he played that one game. Franklin Pele played that one game in 2020. Kevin Robinson, Jeff Scott, Patrice Ciolo. Who was that? That was in 2014. How good. Samuel Stone Street. So Stone Street is being chalked off the two-gamer. He's off at this present moment. If nothing goes wrong.
You've just put the mock on him, Boldo.
I know.
He's coming out in the warm-up.
I'm touching so much wood right now. Darren Thompson, Craig Timmins, Daryl Townsend, Paul Vannett, Daniel Vasquez. I remember him, the singer.
Oh, he was good.
Joe Fatanze. Some great names here. Sorry about the pronunciation there. Stephen Walsh, Tim Wayman, Michael Wayman's brother, Tony Williams. Yes, that Tony Williams.
That's
and
right.
Cole Withers. And it's coached by Steve Price, who coached us on one occasion. Do you remember when that was?
That was while Fitzy was out. No, that was it? While he was out with
COVID? COVID. It was
Round
Fitzgibbon's
one.
very first game as an NRL coach, and he got COVID round 1, 2022. And they attempted to let him coach from his home, but there was too much of a delay. So it fell to Steve Price in the box to make the decisions.
That was a brilliant take. Franco, you got a favourite out of that lot?
Yeah, Jackson Ferris was one of my favourites as well, Williams, but he called it out. Trent Grubb, I'm shocked that he didn't get more games than that one game. Obviously, we got belted by the Panthers there, and it was a
Final
real
round
shame.
of 2010.
Yeah, I think that was one of the ones that everyone was more interested in watching Wade Graham because he was coming to the Sharks the following season. But yeah, Trent Grubb, he had third most meters, played for 80 minutes, second most tackles. Really good showing for a kid in his first game, and then was never seen again. Hopefully the shellacking wasn't the reason, but it was a really sad scenario to see him not get more games. And the other one is obviously Carl Faliga, famously 600K over 3 years and 11 minutes as it is written, 20K per minute for him.
Oh, goodness. It's so funny how often Carl Filiger gets named and mentioned on this podcast. Lads, do you think Jaden Beryl or Ison are going to join this illustrious group of Sharks legends long term, or you reckon they'll get a second match?
Ison, yes. I think Ison will play another game for us, but unfortunately, Beryl, I think not. I think he had his fairy tale match last week and it didn't work out, and he's got a story to tell the grandkids that he played in the NRL, and I think that's where it ends, unfortunately.
I'm going to hijack this with the 2-game club. It's a lot smaller, and there's a couple of big names in there. So
here we
Darren
go.
Knapp, Cade Dykes. Cade Dykes is still stuck on 2
Daniel
games.
Mortimer?
Daniel Mortimer. We all thought he was a 1-gamer. He was a 2-gamer. Matt Mickelrick, Nene McDonald, Clifford Marnua, Panani Manama. I'm going to mince his last name, but you know who I'm talking about. He played 2 matches in 2014. As I said, Darren Mapp and Glenn Rogers, Jared Taylor, Nathan Vag, a product of
Nathan
Adelaide.
Vag was good.
He was good. I remember
was
coming from
good.
the grades. He was from Adelaide. He was one of the only South Australian-born NRL players.
All right, there we go. Nathan Vag. Cheers to you, my good friend. Look, let's just be absolutely, ultimately clear with this. All of you that play first grade for the Cronulla Shark Rugby League team are enormously brilliant athletes, and that is an achievement that should be celebrated. If you play one match for the Sharks, you are closer in skill level to Andrew Johns than I am to you. So congratulations to you, all of you Sharks players who play one match. We just have a little bit of fun of that. But yeah, certainly Carl Feliga, you absolute legend. All right, as for good segue, as we talk about making fun of other Sharks players, it is now time for, well, the greatest segment in all of Cronulla Sharks entertainment. It is now time for Boldo's Tears, where Boldo and his illustrious group of buddies who aren't on the ET Stand panel get together and we discuss who we think are the top Sharks players right now, not according to the salary cap, not according to the daily M points, but based on how much they get paid, what position they play, and what we've seen from them in the past and what we're expecting right now and what we saw. So without further ado, this is Boldo's Tears for August. I've gone a little bit early because I really liked this month's theme and I didn't think it would be as funny next week. And it is an Olympic theme for obvious reasons because it is the Olympics right now. Yes, Matthew?
You know the Olympics go for 2 weeks, right? It would have worked just as well next week, maybe even better next week.
Yeah,
than this week.
But I'm not sure that the ending would have worked as well. So
okay, I'll stand by for that.
And you can just say, I just wasn't 100% sure that the ending would work next week, so I just decided to go a week early.
Okay.
But,
is this Last Supper related?
It is not Last Supper related.
Oh,
no.
Good to know.
Topical.
Good to know. All right, it is the Olympic themed Tears. Now, we also might get shut down and booted off YouTube because the Olympic rings are actually subject to copyright. And so, just so we're clear, that is not the Olympic rings. That is 5 incomplete circles that just coincidentally happen to be a similar color to the Olympic rings. All right, so first up, here is Ian Thorpe from the year 2012 when he tried to make a comeback and quite frankly didn't make the Olympic team. But that's because you, Peru, Takama, Burns, Bradbury, Gabrielle, Rodwell, and Vela, well, you're not making the Olympic team. You're not even in the squad. On to the next. Well, these guys, they're competing at the Winter Games because we're not going to see them for a little while, and that includes you, Nico, Kate Dykes and Jesse Colhoun, because you guys are all gone and we're not going to see any of you until the next installment of the Olympics. All right, on to the next. All right, now, if you don't know who that is Eric the Eel. Eric the Eel Mozambini was the only... was the first ever swimmer from his country and competed in the 100 meters at the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games. Finishing the 100 meters in the slowest all-time time recorded for the 100 meters freestyle in 1 minute and 53 seconds. I don't know if he would even beat Scott Latino in a swimming race, but
mate, I couldn't make 50 meters, let alone 100.
One of the great moments in sporting history, and falling on the first tier of Eric the Eel is Jaden Beryl, Liam Ison, Marween Harodi, and Tom Hazelwood, because we're not sure if we're ever going to see these guys again. Just like Eric the Eel, we never saw you again. That is a massive fall from grace for Tom Hazelwood, though, falling to the bottom of the tiers. All right, on to the next is the morning relay swimmers. Not these 4 girls that won the Olympic gold, but Bronte Campbell and those other ones who are kind of in the team because they swim the morning race just to make sure we make the final. But actually, you don't actually realize that they're really in the team. But what they do is really important when they come into the team, and that's you, Sam Stonestreet, and Tapua. When you guys come into the team, it's so important in the work you do. We herald and celebrate you every time you come in because you guys are great and critical members. Just sadly, you probably wouldn't be in the grand final team. On to the next. All right, now this guy is Brian Meeker. Now, if you don't know who this is, I'm going to play a video for you right now. This is Brian Meeker. So for those on Spotify, Brian Meeker just ran himself into the pole vaulting horse. And
Wide World of Sports every Saturday showed that. Every Saturday in their intro.
And Brian Meeker actually has a heralded career, but he did have that one moment. And you, Tony Rudolph, are on your own because you right now, we feel like you're running into a pole vaulting horse, but I have a feeling you can come back and build the rest of your career. So you're on your own. You're on the Brian Meeker tier. On to the next. Well, this is the show jumping. And why is it the show jumping? Because who is the athlete in the show jumping? Is it the horse or is it the rider? And I'm just going to say about you guys, well, are you being carried by the horse or are you contributing? And that's right, McInnes, Kafusi, Williams, and Ravian. We're not really sure if you're actually contributing that much, but you are pretty much out there and very much a show jumper. On to the next.
Wow.
All right, gymnastics. Now, I can't remember why I put a picture of Simone Biles here, but seeing as she's the most famous gymnast, I kind of liken these guys to you're not sure if you're really that impressed with them. They've got some skills, but are you actually that interested in them when they play? And that's you, Teague Wilton, Daniel Atkinson, and Kale Iro. Pretty skillful, but, not a core like watch that you're going to watch all the time. On to the next. Well, these guys are the 50-meter freestyle. Why are they the 50-meter freestyle? Because, look, they only do anything for about 30 seconds or before they kind of disappear and then they go off the field, or you don't know what you're going to get out of them. But it's high intensity. It's big plays. It's massive tries. It's memorable moments. It's what you want to see. It's those runs from Nakora when you haven't seen him for 20 minutes and then he makes a barnstorming one of those angle runs and you just see Britton Nakora come in. And I've promoted you, Braden Hamlin, ULE, a couple of tiers up this month because you had a good game last week and that run that you did to set up that first try was terrific. And Talakai, you're still a 50-meter freestyle swimmer. On to the next. All right, that's Kieran Perkins. Now, Kieran Perkins won in 1992 and in 1996 and was considered king of the pool. Now, unfortunately, he kind of went missing for a little bit and then tried to come back in 2000 and didn't really win. He still came back pretty good, but he was still king of the pool. And I recognize you, Royce. You're still king of the pool, despite the fact that you were away last week and you're going to come back. And I'm pretty confident you're not going to return to being the gold level Kieran Perkins, Royce Hunt, but you're going to be pretty good and you're going to get us a silver, which is why I'm making you the Kieran Perkins this month. On to the next. Well, this is Jana Pittman. Jana Pittman was the world champion in 2003 in the 400 meters hurdles, heading into the 2004 Athens Olympic Games. Then she got injured, bunged up a knee, and wasn't able to compete. And that is currently Will Kennedy and Ronaldo Mulatalo. It's Ronaldo because he's got an injured knee right now. And it's Kennedy because every damn final series, you always seem to be limping and injured going into the final series. And we never, ever seem to get the best out of you. So I'm worried you're going to be Jana Pittman, but hopefully you can perform. On to the next. Oh, it's Grant Hackett. What a fit specimen that this man is. 1,500 meters specialist, can swim so far. And that's why you, Blake Brayley, are the Grant Hackett of the Boldo's tiers this month, because you have just got that staying power. You are the champion. You are an absolute legend, and we've got you second on the tiers, which brings us to the final player for Boldo's tiers, the Stephen Bradbury, if you may. Because quite frankly, all of the other players have fallen over, and Braden Trindle, somehow you have found your way up to the top of Boldo's tiers for the month of August. Congratulations to you, Braden Trindle. You are the Stephen Bradbury and the memorable gold medal winner for Boldo's Olympic tiers. Hold on. But we have a new greatest ever Olympian, which is, of course, Emma McEwen. And so I am changing the tiers, and I am putting the Sharks NRLW squad as the actual top of Boldo's tiers for the month of August, because they, like Emma McEwen, are an absolute legend, top of the tree right now. And that is Boldo's tiers for the month of August. And I wasn't sure that the Sharks NRLW team would win next week, so I just didn't want to run the risk that I couldn't put them top and have them undefeated. So I thought, bugger it, I'm going to do it this week. They're getting better, these tiers.
If you do say so yourself. I'll pay that one. Several points. Eric the Eel had never seen a 50-meter pool before he set foot in Homebush, legitimately. So from, I think it was Equatorial Guinea, absolute legend of the Sydney Olympics and all of that magic time that it was. So I think Beryl, Ison, Harodi and Hazelwood can take their hats off to the fact that they've been said in the same sentence as that legend of sport. Everything the Olympics and sport is about is Eric Buzambani. But on Grant Hackett and Brayley, just as long as Brayley just doesn't, I suppose, start having off-field indiscretions, let's say, like Grant Hackett has in recent times, that would be nice. But yeah, agree. The NRLW had a really good start of the season and hopefully carry on. And Trindle has been very impressive the last few weeks. Keep it up.
Franco, who moves up or down on your tiers list? Where do you reckon I might have gotten wrong?
I'll start down the bottom. So far down the bottom, they didn't even stay on your slide here. There was a couple on the lower tier that have done ACLs and certainly not going to be around. So they should be moving up to that injured tier that you had. I think that obviously, the NRL squad up the top there, they were really good there, and we'll talk about them a little bit more later. Trindle's performing brilliantly. But I don't know. Talakai is pretty far down. Gosh, I'd be finding room for him to move up a little bit. I'm surprised Ronaldo didn't get dropped a few for the dropped drop kick that he performed in the last match. And obviously, I think that that Atkinson, while not a great game last week, for considering this is considered the month of football, he's been doing pretty well for us. So those
You
three
can't have
I would call
Atkinson
out.
better than Talakai, Nicker, or Katoa, or maybe Hamlin Ueli.
Well, like I said, I'd be shuffling Talakai up, and so then Atkinson can take that spot there.
Lats, many movements on your end?
Just a few, mate. To be honest, I thought you might have thrown in a Scotty Miller tier in there, or something a bit more controversial. But I think you've got Hamlin Ueli a little too low. From what I've seen from him the last couple of weeks, I think he's been one of our best forwards. I'll move him up above Royce, just for the sheer fact that Royce had a cold and wouldn't travel. I think you're pretty tough on Atkinson there, mate. As Franco alluded to, he didn't have a great game last week, but he has been right up there in Nico's absence. And I'm quite offended that you put, I don't know if I'm more offended that you put Tommy Hazelton or Eric the Eel in Hirotti's tier, but I think I wouldn't like either of them associated. But I think you're pretty tough on Tommy, but he did need a bit of a break. So all in all, I think you did well with NRLW squad up the top. They haven't had a point scored against them all season, and get in early and strike while the iron's hot. Very good.
All right. Look, it was tougher tiers this month. I struggled with the top. I thought actually Trindle was the standout. But yeah, it's always interesting.
Brayley's an interesting one there at the top, and it's interesting that none of us really complained about it.
No,
because he has been playing better.
Who was it on the debrief who was hating on Brayley?
Paul.
Sorry,
Agreed. So have a look at our Chronicles episode this week. Great look at the Sharknado match from 2015 and just what Ennis provided. Yes, Brayley's not Ennis, but the fact that Brayley's just now, after goodness knows how long, starting to run the ball again. I did like, even though the other day we were monstered, he was looking to run the ball, and I'd like him to provide a kicking option as well. Just feeding the ball off 1,000 times and not running just creates zero doubt in the defence mind. Ennis was all of that and more, and that's why we were so successful. So Brayley hasn't kicked on for mine for where he should have been, but the last 2 weeks he's shown a bit more than that. So I'll give you that. But if it was 2 weeks ago and he was second or third on the tiers, I would have been saying it's flawed. Tip it. Yeah. Collapse your pyramid. Start again. But yeah.
Well, it's interesting that Brayley, I think, had to stand up with Nico being out and without Kennedy. So he has to. So, but it also provides him with a better opportunity to show his wares a little bit more. So
he's in his fifth full season at first grade now. Right. He needs to start showing more. Maybe don't shut. Maybe they all had the shards on the weekend. That's why they didn't play too well. Maybe that was the virus. But anyway.
All right, let's get on to the NRLW. Sharks had a 14-point win over the Cowboys last week, 2-0, keeping a clean sheet. Franco's going to run his rule over the NRLW. Franco, what do we need to know?
Yeah, so it was, I don't know if anyone got down there in the wet weather or watched it. It was a televised game, as I believe all women's games are on Fox. Some are on 9. Cowboys weren't that great. Let's be honest. The Cowboys were not very good. However, you can only play what's in front of you. And that said, our defense was rock solid. There was, on several occasions, the Cowboys did throw a fair bit at us. I don't care what version of rugby league you play. If someone throws a big body at you right on the line and you're able to stop them on a dime, you're doing well. And that occurred on multiple occasions. and the girls turned up and put their bodies on the line. It was really good to see, hence the clean sheet. So if that's a example of the defence we're going to see for the season, then that's going to start us in good stead. Our stars really stood up in Penatani and good old, sorry about this,
Johnny Gatto.
Gatto, thank you.
All right, I'm playing around with the views there. There we go. You're back,
There
Franco.
we go. That's the wrong
Oh,
team,
no, it's got to
but
be this
all
team.
good.
There we go. This team. Sorry.
There we are. So, yeah, Tonagato really sort of showed what she had. And Jada Taylor, she is the future. She's going to be really good.
I thought
I think
Ellie Johnson was good, Franco.
she was very good. But I think it was just one of those again, when you're playing a team that's maybe not as good as a team that you want to be up against, test your wares. Everyone looks good, right? So it's going to be easy to sort of point at anyone and say they had a good game because they all had a really good game. Next week's going to be a tougher test against the Eels. The Eels are a better squad, right up there with us, top of the ladder, and they scored a lot more points. So they're a really potent threat there that we need to be wary of and bring that defensive game with us to this one.
Taylor Preston's sideline conversion after the third try. I noticed one of the touchies put the flag up, and the other one put the flag down. They called it a goal. I take it went over. It was an absolute cracker.
Yeah, I thought it looked over.
Yeah.
So I think
they gave it, but it was a great kick from the left touch line.
Yeah, and we also had
when that happens, isn't it?
Yeah, we also had the disallowed try from Quincy Dodd where she sort of barreled over from dummy half. I kind of thought that maybe should have been given. It's one of those ones where the players can't disappear.
Yeah.
But obviously it meant for nothing. So
you've seen them given. Cassie Staples with the double, both off set players going to the left was good to see. You're right, the Cowboys weren't great from what I saw. But
why aren't they called the Cowgirls?
It's a good point. Maybe they should be.
I don't know. That's probably a question for them.
I think it is. I'll ask them next time I go on their damn podcast. All right, that was NRLW. Thanks for that, Franco. It was a really good update. Really good.
They've actually, Boldo, just before you just swap over, they've actually just firmed into 650 on the ladder to take out the comp this year, and they're only going to get stronger too. They've got Caitlin Johnson coming from the Knights next year, and she's a powerhouse. I think they're going to have a nice little, a good few years there down at the Sharks NRLW.
The big out, unfortunately, is we've lost Taylor Preston. Announced, I think it was last week, that she was off to the Bulldogs. So the Bulldogs and the Panthers are getting new NRLW sides. So Preston is off to there, unfortunately. But yeah, big signing. Otherwise,
stand her down now. Boot her out.
She was good on the weekend. Bet with your head not over it. Every time we quote odds there, win some, you lose more.
Chris Kelly, if you're listening.
Especially you, Chris Kelly. All right, let's go through the around. Oh, no, we don't want that one. We want that one. All right, yep, there it is. Okay, around the league with Lats this week, not with you, Chris Kelly. You're sacked. All right, what's going on? What do Sharks fans need to know, Lats, from around
All righty. Bit of injury news. Getting back to the back end of a long season, we're starting to see some significant injuries creep in the NRL of late, with some big ones this week in Alex Johnson with a ruptured Achilles, puts a serious hold on his campaign to become the league's greatest try scorer and running down the great Ken Irvine's tally of 212. At 29 years of age, he still has plenty of footy left in him, but he's currently sitting on 195 tries in just 227 appearances, so he's currently 17 short. I think he gets there eventually. I think South will stick with him until he does. James Fisher-Harris, groin. The Panthers enforcer went down in agony 3 minutes into his side's belting of the Dragons on Sunday and looks set to be sidelined for about a month. Jason Tamalolo, fractured cheekbone. He looks set for an extended stint on the sidelines after Cale Iro's head was pinballed into him in his side's win over the Sharks on the weekend. And just keep an eye out for Cody Walker. He in scoring that try, don't be surprised if he's a late withdrawal against us this coming weekend. He's got a bit of a calf niggle. He got up quite gingerly after scoring that try in the stroke of half-time in Canberra. He was holding on his hip as well, so he's clutching at his hip, and he's been carrying that calf of late as per the NRL casualty ward. So he could be a late exclusion. So we might firm in a little bit more there. Moving on, signing whispers. We've got big Stefano Utokumanu informed the Tigers that he won't be taking up the club's 5-year extension offer, believed to be in the vicinity of $4 million. And he'll be leaving the club at season's end. Leaves the Tigers in quite a predicament, given Papali is also leaving the club at the season's end, and they're loaning Bateman to Super League club Warrington. So whether he comes back or not, that's yet to be seen. The Bulldogs are favourites to secure Stefano's signature. Tavita Pangai Jr. looks almost certain to follow his current coach to Redford and sign on with the Rabbitohs next season, and it hasn't taken him long to settle back into the NRL, and he'll make a handy signing for the Bunnies. And a new one today that's come out is Brian To'o is apparently being shopped to other clubs, given him being not too happy with his current contract and feeling undervalued. He's currently on, I think, about $675 per year. And on the open market, you think he'd command a lot more than that. It's being rumoured that during Origin camp, he got talking to a lot of the players, and they were letting him know about their deals and how more lucrative their deals are than his. And he's gone back to club management, I assume, and they've told him you were happy to sign when you did. So, but the Tigers are in a handy position to make a play for him, given their failed re-signing attempt of Utokumanu, and he may just follow Taruva and Luai there next season. And earlier,
it's a tricky one. It's a very tricky one. If he's on 675, that's good money for a winger in a red hot side. Yeah, they've lost a few. But they're up there. They're competing. They probably will be again next year, even when they lose Luai. So if he wants to go the Tigers, good luck to him. But yeah,
he's not better than Ronaldo.
No, he's not. He's different. He's different. He has less brain explosions, that's for sure. Less brain explosions.
Yeah. For what I understand probably happened is he's probably just gone and let them know at the club that he would like some more money. This is what other club people are getting, and they might have just called his bluff and just told him to go and look elsewhere. But I don't mind that approach from a club. Like, you sign a contract. I can't just go tomorrow and get out of my phone plan or whatnot. I've signed a contract, so without consequences. So. Yeah,
you just can't go and sign up for the Red V podcast, lads.
Well, they have put in some offers, mate. So
okay, cool.
Until you start paying us, then yeah.
There's the Moses Gutho effect too. That if you're going to hog all the salary cap, don't complain when you've got reserve graders around you, like Moses was when they lost the Knights a few weeks ago. It's like, sorry, you're a team player.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to let go a bit of dollars.
Yeah, the wealth.
Yeah.
Quick fire question to all four of us, and I'll answer last. Would you welcome Val back, Williams?
I'd welcome him back to visit the club for a 2016 team reunion. I'd say thank you for your time, but no, I would not welcome him back into the first grade squad for several reasons. Several reasons. Firstly, I think that not to say he's beyond it, but he's getting older now. Obviously, he hasn't set the world on fire for the Cowboys ever since coming back from the NFL, really. So I think that we've got to look to the future, and he's not it. Secondly, too, I'm still a little bit jaded with the way that all went down with how he left the club in the lurch at that time of the season when we'd offered him the biggest contract in Sharks history. And then suddenly he had an NFL dream. If you had an NFL dream, just communicate that earlier. And the club would have supported it, but it wasn't. And Paul Gallen was pretty scathing with how it went down on the inside at the time. So thank you for 2016. It was awesome. It was fun. You're amazing, but good luck elsewhere.
Franco?
Yeah, he was up there as one of my favourite players, but unfortunately, I don't see the value of him coming to the club. He's going to ask for a lot of coin, and I think he's not going to be. He will be better than someone he replaces. I've got no doubt with that. If he was to say replace, Ramian, Iro, or say Kennedy, I think he would probably be a bit better than them. But I don't think he'd be marginally better, or at least dollar value better. So I'd be more than happy to stick with the guys we've got over him there in that scenario.
Lads?
Yeah, mate. No, I don't think. I think we've got the most explosive edges in the comp, or right up there. I don't think he can add a great deal more to what we have, and he would be commanding a high price. And I think he'll just link back up with Shane Flanagan and end up at the Dragons next season.
I think that's probably right. What will happen, but I will counter all of you and say that Valentine Holmes is a Sharks legend. He has a hot bucket full of tries. He is a state of origin representative. And if we could get him at the right price, it would be massive and so exciting. And how good would it be to see Val running down the sideline, scoring a try for the black, white, and blue one more time? It would be good. Anyway, on to the next.
Alrighty, just some judiciary news. Roosters centre Michael Jennings will miss 2 games after pleading guilty to a Grade 2 careless high tackle on Manly speedster Jason Saab. And Dragons' Toby Couchman will also miss 2 matches for his crusher tackle on Penrith's Maverick Geyer in his side's heavy loss to Penrith over the weekend. And finally, not sure if you saw it, any of you boys saw the NRLW clash between the Broncos and the Eels, where Broncos prop Aneta Claudia Nuuasala has been suspended for 4 matches for a hip drop tackle, followed by a Grade 1 striking charge in which can only be described as an absolute 80s Origin-style punch-on following that hip drop tackle. If you haven't seen it, check it out. The replay, it was an absolute doozy of a biff. Terrible tackle, though. I can't recall who it was who she was tackling, but she's out for the season. But I'll tell you what, these ladies, they play with heart. They play harder than the blokes for mine, and extremely entertaining to watch.
I heard about this today on the radio. I haven't seen it, and we did have this game on the background too, so I'm annoyed that I missed it on Saturday. But so hip drop 4 weeks, but Grade 1 striking, yet from what I heard, she went full Gordon Tallis on someone when she was the one that did the hip drop. How is that not a longer suspension? Graham Annesley, explain.
2 weeks and 2 weeks. So 2 weeks for the hip drop and 2 weeks for the biff.
And the player's out for the season. That's
Yeah, it was a terrible tackle. So
Well, it just makes the game more interesting, doesn't it? For the NRLW, it's probably not such a bad thing. Look, in the 70s and 80s, they had fights in the rugby league all the time. If the men's rugby league didn't exist, you'd think that was a good idea for the NRLW to have the fights and do that sort of stuff. So different sport, different game, different way to promote it.
Different time. It's a different generation.
It's also a different time. That's why you can't do it.
Trying to get the kids involved, trying to get the mums on side. So
yeah, I can't see your wife being too pleased about your boys watching fights in the rugby league, Matty.
Well, Lats and I were talking about it. I think what came up, it was when we were talking about the
Cowboys Chronicle.
The Cowboys Chronicle. There was a big biff in that. It started and stopped 3 times. I haven't shown my 6-year-old yet, but I'm not sure how he'd react. It'd be interesting. I'd definitely be caveating it at the start and the end. Do not do this on Saturday morning. But
I'm not prescribing to the fight driving fans away or stopping adoption. I think that is certainly small fishbowl mentality. I think it might be a necessity because we're a small fishbowl, but especially with rugby league pushing into the USA and trying to get a piece of that pie, we all know that the octagon is the fastest growing sport, and that's because it's just getting everyone hyped and blood and gore and fisticuffs. If America saw rugby league, like the speed, the talent that we've got today, coupled with the biff and blood and whatnot, it would very quickly make an impact in the US. As it is, with the pushing and shoving, it might get a couple of fans, but I think it's really largely going to stay outside of the US.
Well, I love it in the NHL, don't they? In the NHL, they'll have the fights.
They still punch on.
They still punch on, and they actually let them. And they had the problem with the New York Rangers. Who was it against the Islanders? I think it was this season, where they were just fighting each other. All right, let's get
head injuries though. In this time and day and age of head injuries, it's very difficult to. I'm with you, Franco. I think it would solve a lot of the niggle issues that we have in the game too. Let's say, what's his name? That hooker, Reed Marnie. Even Michael Ennis would have been sorted out a lot more than they were. Mitch Moses and the like would have been sorted at the first scrum, but
I think Ronnie might have too.
Ronnie might have. Kyle Phelps on Saturday with his,
Kyle Phelps a dickhead.
That was rough. Yeah.
Exactly. He's a wanker. The NRL needs a taunting rule where if you taunt, you get a penalty against you, or you have to take the kick from 20 meters back, further back. Or
I just don't understand why the third man in rule is gone. Like, if it was a fight and third man came in, third man in goes to the bench. So it's these pushing and shoving things, like the big brawl, in quotes, brawl, first State of Origin Game 3, where it spilled over in the sideline. That was one-on-one with Cherry Evans and Luai. Whoever the first person in on that was, they should have been binned. And that's it. End of story, right?
I'm sure it was Sam Thaiday. I know he wasn't playing, but he was always the third man in. I think he was there too. But
Billy Slater won the medal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, let's get this comment through from Craig Kieran. He says, if Holmes goes to the Dragons, they will have more 2016 Premiership players than us. Well, as will the Roosters next season as well. They'll have more 2016 Premiership players than us as well. If you count
Craig, Jack Bird has been granted an option to talk as well. So he might be not at the Dragons anymore.
Yeah, he just hasn't kicked on since his time
Since
away.
we wrecked his shoulder and set him up to the Broncos busted.
That's probably
Take
right.
this, Wayne.
All right, well, that was the ET stand this week. We will be live after full time just after full time, probably 15, 20 minutes. We'll try and get home as quickly as we can to do the debrief after the Sharks match versus Souths. Matty and Franco and Chris Kelly were out this week with a brilliant episode of the classic Cronulla Chronicles. It was a callback to the Sharknado Cyclone Ramondus match. I have listened to it. I listened to about 90% of it back. I just didn't quite get to finish it off. It was highly entertaining and absolutely hilarious, and just good to listen back to that 2015 season. So much fun that season, wasn't it?
Thanks, Boldo. It was fun. It was great having two people that were in attendance. As I said, in it, it created great consternation on our group chat when I was looking for someone to do it. And these two were fighting over, I was there. No, you weren't there. No, you weren't there. Oh, you were there, because they were both sitting in different parts. One of them, you'll have to listen to who. He may not be on the show tonight, went and hid in the upper echelon.
What's funny is the two of them have season seats next to each other and didn't
even realise. I was baffled. I wasn't there. I was like, how can that happen? How didn't they know that they were there? But that explains it. That yes, Chris Kelly, for those playing at home, went and hid in the top tier, whilst Franco embraced the 100-kilometre-hour winds and the rain coming in sideways and all that was associated with that literal cyclone that hit Shark Park that night and hit the South Sydney Rabbitohs as well. So give that a listen. It was great fun. Great to reminisce on maybe Michael Ennis and a few other parts of that team. And the key thing we got out of it was you don't realise how good a team you've got until afterwards. So at the time, I think we were deriding the Latelli, Beale, centre combo. We weren't really sold on some of the guys in the forward pack that went on to be premiership winners for us the following year. So hopefully there's some parallels here with 2024. I still think there's some leadership.
None of you were sold on Ben Barber. I was
a Barber fan.
I
love Barber.
Yet we couldn't. It couldn't be known at that time whether he would re-find his 2012 form. Obviously, 2016 happened, which was amazing. But at 2015, the form he was showing was not there. He hadn't shown it for a few years for either the Bulldogs or the Broncos. So there was still a healthy degree of doubt there. Had we signed another Tim Smith? That was the big
I remember
question.
Franco always being big on Val in 2015. Franco was big on Val.
I was always big on Val before 2015.
I mean, you were big on Val. Always big on Val. All right. Let's get out of here, lads. That was anything else from you boys? Are we good to go?
Yeah, I got a quick little one.
There we go.
New South Wales Cup, Sam Healy being promoted in the starting side because obviously Beryl was promoted into firsts. He got 1 try and 2 try assists, had a pretty good game. So again, just a concern that he's not locked up, and there's rumours that he might be going elsewhere. He's kind of the player I thought would have put pressure on Brayley and maybe has leapfrogged Beryl, but with Beryl getting his 1 game, maybe that's a sign of the future that Beryl will be maybe getting extended a contract and be available for injuries or other scenarios. I guess watch the space.
Second on the tiers.
Yeah, well,
you need a backup. You need a backup. He can't keep playing every game forever. Plus, he needs to be challenged. I think Brayley seems to be playing within himself You watch, he started running. The second Beryl had gone and done his stint. Brayley suddenly came onto the field and looked like a different player. He needs a kick up the behind.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, that's me, David Bolderman, for the ET stand, for my co-hosts and beautiful human beings, Matt Williams, Stephen Franklin, man of the people, Scott Latino. We will see you guys post full time on the debrief. Up, Growler.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.